The leaker has been caught, ladies and gentlemen. Allegedly, at least that's what reporters are saying. If you do not know what I'm talking about, I do not know why that is. You must be living under a rock if you're a gamer. If you'll recall last week's episode, or if you've just been on the internet generally, you will have known that GTA6 had arguably maybe the biggest leak in the history of gaming. A whole bunch of assets from that game were leaked, a whole bunch of details. We know where it's going to be located, who the protagonists are, certain gameplay details, and it was a really, really bad situation, obviously, for Rockstar. It you could argue was, interesting for some GTA fans to see, but overall, probably arguably a really bad situation, generally speaking. We're here to provide you with some very quick updates in regards to all that. Rockstar, last week we talked about how long is it going to take before Rockstar responds to the whole situation. Are they just going to pretend that it didn't actually happen? Well, they didn't. They actually were quite upfront with all this. The day after we recorded, Rockstar put out a tweet saying that, yes, they are very disappointed. Yes, there was a leak. People have hacked into our system and released footage of the upcoming GTA 6. However, in the post, they said that development won't be delayed. And that's one thing that a lot of people were worried about, because in a lot of the clips, there was source code on screen. And when source code is leaked, it can make it easier for people to hack the game when it comes out, particularly the multiplayer. That was a big concern. However, they are saying that. We don't know if that's actually true. We don't know if they're just putting on a brave face, but that's just what they're saying. And that's all we can really go off of.
Or they're shoving it onto the developers.
Right. Yeah.
Which is really crap.
Yeah. Moving on. Thankfully, as you could have probably told, what's the right word? I don't know. By the thumbnail for this video, the hacker has allegedly been caught. City of London police arrested either a 16 or a 17-year-old kid from Oxfordshire, UK. Yes, it's an actual name of a city. It's not a parody. Yeah, they do put shire on the end of everything there, and I say that as somebody whose family comes from the UK. He was either the leader or a member of an internet gang called Lapsus $ ransomware. And I know it sounds kind of ridiculous, like, who the heck are they? Just some random hacker group? Well, no, they're actually kind of, unfortunately, a big deal. They have been linked to hacks hacks that have happened for companies like Samsung, Nvidia, Microsoft, Ubisoft, and most recently Uber, because that was a name that apparently that was the company that got hacked right before the Rockstar hack happened. But it seems like they caught him. City of London police are working with the FBI and the U.S. Department of Justice. And Syb, we knew when this happened that, like, Take-Two, they don't play when it comes to legal issues. When this happened, we knew they were going to use the full force of the law on whoever this person was. And in GTA terms, this just went from 5 stars to 6 stars. Although if you're an old school GTA fan, it's more like going from 6 stars to 7 stars. This is how big a deal this is. And just a few other things. There is evidence that before he got arrested, he was going to leak more stuff. There was evidence that he was going to share a PDF design document based off of an internal wiki that developers could refer to. He was going to sell the GTA 5 source code, which would have been a monumental disaster. No word on whether or not he was selling the GTA 6 stuff. All we know is that for the GTA 5 source code, he was looking for no less than 5 figures. Unfortunately for him, he wasn't able to find a place where he could post the assets or sell the assets, because, he would show up on GTA forums, on Telegram, but the admins there wouldn't allow it because, it's dealing with illegal stuff and they didn't want to get it involved with the lawyers over at Take-Two. So it seems that it's pretty much over right now. There won't be any more leaks, thankfully, for the developers. I will say one last thing just to end on a positive note with this story. But before I get to that, Syb, just any thoughts or reactions to the information that I just relayed?
There's 3 types of leakers and hackers and people who gather information and utilize information. This is the worst type where somebody will hack into a company, run essentially a bulldozer through it, take a whole bunch of stuff, and then laugh it off as if it was a joke or try to profit off of it. It hurts the company. Sometimes these companies are, garbage companies that don't have any care or concern for their user bases at all.
Yep.
And they will lie about things just as bad as this to make a profit or to obfuscate blame. And they're not good people.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that that you can go Robin Hood on their butts.
Right.
Because in that particular case, you're not being a Robin Hood. You're not giving to the poor. You're not bringing justice. You're not scrambling their microtransaction code and leaving all the other code in the game free so that people can just play the game. That's not what's happening here. Is you're intentionally damaging the product so that you can profit. That's one kind of leaker. The other kind of leaker we're going to talk about a little bit is a leaker who gets stuff, releases stuff for clout, for fame, for power, for prestige, regardless of whether that information is actually helpful to the community or not. In some cases, it's actually damaging to the community, again, like we're going to talk about in a minute here. And then the other kind of leaker is what we've done here, where we've talked about particular aspects of games, particular things, used a heavy dose of speculation and some inside general information that is we're not getting chased down by lawyers. And in fact, sometimes we go, hey, we heard this. We want to talk about it. And they know that it's already out. They know that other people are going to talk about it. So they say, okay, go ahead and talk about it. Please don't say this thing or this release date, because those are unconfirmed and we're not sure if that's going to, make it into the product. And that, again, that goes with the territory of the industry. And the same thing happens in the film industry, same thing happens in the music industry, same thing happens in any entertainment industry. It's all part of the same thing. And that kind of a system it could be annoying at times, but typically it's seen as a good thing. And it's the reason why people who talk about particular games and say, we heard from another source that this is something that you're going to be hearing and seeing in the future game. That's called hype. And we're not as on the hype train as we used to be, because we've been let down so much. And it's backfired in the sense of helping to build community and stuff like that. And it's their own fault. We never tried to overhype anything. We tried to always be confirm rumors. Here's what's going on, just general things. But we never were oh yeah, the game's launching at such and such a date before the announcement, because those things hurt the game. Those things hurt you. They hurt everybody. They can cause problems for the developer studio. All of that kind of stuff. So this guy and these hackers, there's a lot better things that they could be doing that would actually be far more profitable. And I would hope that they learn from this and do those things that are way more profitable, way more fulfilling, I might add, and fun, and stop doing things that hurt just the developers. I get it. You got your thing, you got your bent, you got your thing, and no beef with that. But there's a lot better things you'd be doing with your time.
Yeah, but unfortunately, these types of people, they don't really seem to adhere to any semblance of morality. They're sort of like a negative version of Big Boss's Outer Heaven from Metal Gear Solid, where they'll just do it for profit. There's more. You said there's more profitable ways and better ways of going about this, but I mean, from what I understand, and correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but when I was doing my research for this, the leader of this hacker group, he managed to garner a fortune of about 14 million pounds just doing what he's doing. That's a lot. Yeah. That's close to 22 million USD, something like that. 20.
I mean, I'm not suggesting anything, but if you guys want to hit a better target, I'm told the security around certain drug lords' money is a lot less secure than it is. And I mean,
right.
I'm not saying, steal from the drug lords and not from, legitimate businesses that are trying to provide something to a public entertaining audience. But there is more to be gotten from that. Yes, it's a little bit more dangerous, but it's,
just a suggestion, just one of your many projects you could take on, maybe, whatever country they might be from. Just to cap off this story on a positive note, one thing that was really upsetting me, one thing that we often do, even though we're not big fans of Take-Two, the organization, and I'm increasingly becoming less of a fan of Rockstar with the way they've been handling things, there's a difference between the leadership of those companies and the developers. We tend to respect the developers quite a bit. And one thing that was really upsetting me when all this footage got leaked is how people were pointing to it and saying, God, it looks terrible. It looks like a really crappy Ubisoft game. And what a lot of these people didn't seem to realize is that this is how most games look when they're at that stage of development. And from all indications, it seemed like the footage that we got was either a year or 2 years old. And even then, it still looked quite impressive. But people seem to think that, well, if this is leaked footage, why does it look so bad? Well, that's the reason why. And as a form of solidarity with the developers, and because they felt so bad for them, companies all across the world started posting pre-alpha footage from their games, what those games looked like at that stage of development, so that people could get a better understanding of why it's really, really wrong to criticize the game as it looked in that leaked footage. So there were companies like Remedy posting pre-alpha footage of Control, Naughty Dog showing pre-alpha and alpha footage of Uncharted and The Last of Us, and pretty much all the companies that did this, it seemed like the footage they showed looked worse than what Rockstar showed with the footage in their leaks. So in that way, there was sort of a positive moment of light and solidarity within the gaming world to come out of this. And I hope that that was able to sort of encourage the developers over at Rockstar to get back up on their feet and push forward.